Human evolution, the ongoing journey. At this very moment, as you read these words, your body is undergoing changes you can't even imagine. Your cells are renewing themselves, your neurons are forming new connections, and something much larger is happening. Evolution hasn't stopped. It never stops. And what I've discovered about this will completely change the way you view your own existence. I spent years studying the latest data on human evolution, and what I found left me speechless. While most people believe evolution is something of the past, something that happened millions of years ago and stopped right there, the reality is completely different. Evolution is happening now, at this moment, in ways you would never imagine. I'll start with a fact that will shake your certainties. In 2025, scientists discovered something extraordinary in Ethiopia. They found evidence that two ancient human species lived side by side 3,400,000 years ago. A discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about our own history. But that is only the beginning. What truly impresses me is how we, modern human beings, continue to evolve without noticing. Each generation that is born is already slightly different from the previous one, not just culturally, but biologically. Our brains are changing, our information processing capacity is adapting to the digital world, and even our physical structure is responding to the new challenges of the 21st century. Think about it for a moment. You can probably process visual information much faster than your grandparents. You can switch between multiple tasks in a way that would be impossible for someone 100 years ago. This isn't just learning, it's evolution in action. Your brain is literally structured differently from the brains of people who lived before the digital age. But evolution doesn't just happen at the individual level. It happens on much larger scales. In ways that are almost impossible to perceive in daily life. The world population has grown to 8.3 billion people in 2025, but the pace of that growth is slowing down. We are growing at only 0.85% per year, compared to 1.25% in 2015. This slowdown isn't just a statistic, it's a sign that our species is undergoing a profound evolutionary transition. What fascinates me even more is how this evolution is happening in a nonlinear way. For decades, we believed that human evolution followed a straight line, a simple progression from one species to another. But recent discoveries show a reality that is much more complex and interesting. At the Diminishes archaeological site in the Caucasus, scientists analyzed fossils from 1,800,000 years ago and discovered something surprising. Two primitive species of the genus Homo lived in the same place at the same time, with significant differences in size and dental structure. This means that evolution is not a straight road, but rather a complex network of branches, adaptations, and coexistences. This discovery made me reflect on something deep. If different species could coexist in the past, adapting in unique ways to the same environments, what does that mean for us today? We are living in a unique moment in human history, where different population groups are adapting to completely different environments. People living in large urban centers are developing different adaptations from those living in rural areas. People who work intensively with technology are developing different cognitive abilities from those who work with physical activities. I began to realize that modern evolution doesn't just happen through genetic changes that take thousands of years. It happens through epigenetic changes that can be transmitted in just a few generations. Your habits, your lifestyle, even your thoughts and emotions are influencing how your genes express themselves, and these changes can be passed on to your children. This is revolutionary. It means that you are not just a passive product of evolution, you are an active participant in it. Every choice you make, every experience you live through, every challenge you face is literally shaping the future of the human species. But there is something even more striking happening. The Human Development Index, which measures our social and cultural evolution, shows a worrying trend. Global progress is slowing down in a way unseen in 35 years. Annual growth is only 0.38% in Brazil, much lower than in previous decades. Initially, this may seem negative, but I see it differently. This slowdown could be a sign that we are entering a new evolutionary phase, where quantitative growth is giving way to deeper qualitative transformations. Perhaps we are evolving in directions that our traditional indicators cannot yet adequately measure. Think of the changes that have happened in the last decade alone. Our ability to connect globally, to process complex information, to collaborate on projects involving millions of people simultaneously. These are capacities that no previous generation possessed, and they are developing at an extraordinary speed. What impresses me even more is how this evolution is happening at levels that go far beyond the biological. We are evolving technologically, creating extensions of ourselves through devices and systems that amplify our natural abilities. We are evolving socially, developing new forms of organization and cooperation that would be impossible without modern technology. But perhaps the most significant evolution is happening at the level of consciousness. More and more people are becoming aware that they are part of a much larger interconnected system. They are realizing that their individual actions have global impacts, and that their thoughts and emotions influence not only their own lives but the environment around them. This expanded consciousness is, in my opinion, humanity's next great evolutionary leap. It's not just about developing larger brains or stronger bodies. It's about developing a deeper understanding of our interconnection with everything that exists. And here is something that will surprise you even more. Recent discoveries about our ancestors show that they already displayed signs of this expanded consciousness. In Manasai, researchers found evidence that elderly individuals, who could no longer feed themselves because they had lost their teeth, were cared for by the group. This means that our ancestors from nearly 2 million years ago had already developed empathy and community care. This discovery made me realize something fundamental. Evolution is not just about survival of the fittest. It's about developing the capacity to care, to collaborate, and to create support systems that allow everyone to thrive. And this trend is accelerating dramatically in our time. Look around you. See how communities form online to support people who have never met in person. Observe how global movements arise spontaneously to face common challenges. Notice how technology is being used not just to compete, but to collaborate on scales never before imaginable. All of this is evolution in action. And the most incredible part is that you are participating in it consciously. Every time you choose to collaborate instead of compete, every time you use technology to connect instead of isolate, every time you expand your consciousness instead of limiting it, you are actively contributing to the next stage of human evolution. But there are enormous challenges ahead. Climate change is creating evolutionary pressures that our species has never faced before. Artificial intelligence is creating new forms of information processing that can both amplify and threaten our natural abilities. Growing social inequality is creating different adaptive pressures for different population groups. These challenges are not obstacles to evolution, they are catalysts for it. Just as our ancestors adapted to dramatic climate shifts, dangerous predators, and hostile environments, we are adapting to the unique challenges of our era. And what gives me hope is that, unlike our ancestors, we are conscious of this process. We can consciously choose the direction of our evolution. We can decide what kind of species we want to become. We can use our technology, our science, and our growing understanding of ourselves to guide our own transformation. This is something completely new in the history of life on Earth. For the first time, a species has the capacity to consciously direct its own evolution. And this responsibility is both thrilling and terrifying. What strikes me is how this conscious evolution is already happening in subtle ways. People are choosing partners based on intellectual and emotional compatibility in ways far more sophisticated than previous generations. They are making decisions about having children based on considerations for the planet's future. They are modifying their lifestyles to optimize not only their own health but the health of future generations. Each of these choices is an act of conscious evolution. And when millions of people make similar choices, the cumulative impact is transformative. Evolution on multiple scales. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of modern evolution is how it is happening simultaneously across multiple scales. At the cellular level, our bodies are constantly adapting to the environment. At the neural level, our brains are creating new connections with every experience. At the social level, we are developing new forms of organization and cooperation. At the technological level, we are creating extensions of ourselves that amplify our capabilities. At the level of consciousness, we are expanding our understanding of who we are and what we are capable of. All these scales are interconnected, influencing each other in complex feedback loops that accelerate the evolutionary process in ways that would be impossible to predict. A distributed history. And here is something that will leave you even more impressed. The most recent genomic studies of African populations, published in 2025, confirm that Homo sapiens has existed for at least 300,000 years, but they cannot identify a specific place of origin. This suggests that our species may have evolved simultaneously in multiple regions, through networks of genetic and cultural exchange that connected distant populations. If this is true, it means that human evolution has always been a collaborative, distributed, networked process. It was never about an isolated population that developed superior traits and then spread them. It was always about multiple populations collaborating, exchanging genes and ideas, evolving together towards something greater. This understanding completely shifts our perspective on modern evolution. We are not competing to see who evolves faster or better. We are all evolving together, as parts of a larger system that is transforming in ways that none of us can fully comprehend alone. Evolution through you. And this brings me to the most important point of everything I am sharing with you. Evolution isn't something that happens to you, it's something that happens through you. You are not a passive spectator of a process beyond your control. You are an active, conscious participant, capable of influencing the direction and speed of transformation. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every relationship you cultivate, and every problem you solve is contributing to the collective pool of knowledge and capacity of the human species. Your experiences, your insights, and your discoveries become part of the evolutionary legacy you pass on to the next generations. This means your life has a meaning far greater than you can imagine. You are not just living your own individual existence, you are participating in the creation of the future of humanity. Your choices today are literally shaping the kind of species we will become tomorrow. And the most incredible thing is that this is happening right now, at this moment, in ways that are both visible and invisible. Visible in the technologies we create, the societies we build, and the problems we solve. Invisible in the subtle changes in our brains, our genes, and our consciousness. The next chapter. Evolution never stopped, it never will stop, and you are at the center of it. Every breath you take, every thought you think, and every action you perform is contributing to the greatest adventure our species has ever undertaken, conscious evolution towards something we cannot yet fully imagine. So, the next time you look in the mirror, remember, you are not just seeing an individual. You are seeing an active participant in the greatest transformation in the history of life on Earth. You are seeing someone who has the power to consciously influence the future of human evolution. And that, my friend, is simultaneously the greatest responsibility and the greatest opportunity any living being has ever had. Evolution continues, and you are writing the next chapter of history. The science of the right now. First, let's talk about what scientists call accelerated cultural evolution. Did you know our brains are literally reorganizing in response to digital technology? Neuroimaging studies show that people who grew up with smartphones have different brain activity patterns than those who didn't. The region of the brain responsible for processing fast visual information is more developed. It's as if we are developing a new type of vision, a digital vision. Researchers at Stanford University found that our attention span is fragmenting in a completely new way. It's not that we are becoming less intelligent, we are developing a different type of intelligence. A multitasking intelligence, a mind that can process multiple streams of information simultaneously. This has never existed before in human history. And here is something that will make your jaw drop: our hands are evolving. Not physically yet, but neurologically. The area of the brain that controls our thumbs is expanding. Why? Because of smartphones. We are literally rewiring our brains to become more efficient at using touchscreen technology. Epigenetics and social consciousness. Now, let me tell you about something happening at the genetic level that is absolutely revolutionary. Do you know about epigenetics? It is the study of how our genes can be turned on or turned off by environmental factors. We've discovered something incredible: trauma and experiences can alter gene expression not just in us, but also in our children and grandchildren. For example, children of Holocaust survivors have specific patterns of gene expression related to stress. But here's the fascinating part: children of people who overcame trauma through therapy or personal growth also show unique genetic patterns, patterns associated with resilience and adaptability. This means that when you work on yourself, when you grow, when you overcome challenges, you are not just improving your own life. You are literally altering the genetic code you will pass to the next generations. You are programming your descendants to be more resilient, more adaptable, and more capable. The birth of Homo evolutus. We are essentially creating a feedback loop between our consciousness, our biology, and our technology. Our consciousness defines developmental goals, our technology helps us monitor and optimize our efforts, and our biology adapts and changes in response. This is the birth of what we can call Homo evolutus, a version of humanity that doesn't just adapt to the environment but consciously adapts to itself. A species that doesn't wait for evolution to happen to it, but actively directs its own evolution. The implications of this are absolutely revolutionary for how we think about human potential, education, personal development, and the future of our species.